Hi friends, welcome to the Q&R code. This is Riley just jumping on to let you know that this is going to be a two-part episode. I'm out of town for a little bit and can't wait to tell you guys all about my travels, but Quinn and I still wanted to make sure we get you an episode up every week, so the next couple are two parts. Thanks for tuning in and we hope you enjoy.
Hello, and welcome to the Q&R code for another Tuesday podcast. Riley is in stripies.
Yet again.
And my bun, come here. Touch. Yes, you guys look how cute. You gotta show them the front of your face though, bud. Because people connect with the eyes. Do you know that?
So that's showbiz, baby. I love my little nephew and his silly little tail.
He does have a silly little tail, and people always notice. I will say that it is my first time having a long-haired animal, I think, of really any sort, right? And I'm learning as I go, and I thought I was doing really well. I think I'm doing very well in many aspects, but I didn't realize I've been like brushing out his ears and everything, but clearly I was not getting into the cracks and crevices of behind the ears well enough because some mats have formed. So he is going to have to get a little puppy haircut. Yeah. Taking out some of those mats.
Well, sometimes it's hard brushing around the ears because they can be kind of sensitive, so you're trying to just be gentle with it. But yeah, I do not have a long-haired dog. Contrary to what one would believe, having this dog he has short hair and so little hair, like you can just see his skin on so many places on his body. So I'm like, why do you shed more than any dog I've ever had before? That is not true that he does not shed more than Fletcher, but his little hairs are so hair splintery that I feel their wrath constantly.
Yeah.
But
Pinkerton and Roger are both dogs that we get hair splinters from, and it's funny because how come we grew up with our little soft little baby feet and we're not getting hair splinters? Like I even think from Beulah, our Basset Hound, as a kid, she has that similar texture that you would think, and how come our little soft feet weren't getting them? But now that we're grown-ups and have walked 1,000 miles on this earth, and now we are getting hair splinters in the bottom of our feet from our dogs, and I will just know now that something is like, oh, that is irritating and sore on the bottom of my foot in my shoes, and strip off the sock and look close enough, and yep, sure enough, there's a little hair splinter sticking in there.
well, if we're giving pup dates, I will let you guys know that Raj is currently upstairs in what we like to call the sauna because our attic is not insulated, and so on a hot day like today it truly heats up. High humidity, high heat. Brayden has a thermometer up there. I don't know how hot it is today, but it gets well over 100 degrees and is super humid in there. Yeah.
Depending on the day, I have gone up there. It's full blown. It's like beyond hot yoga studio.
Oh, when you said well over, I thought you were saying like, oh, come on, please, Riley. And I'm like, no.
No.
It's true.
It's easily 100 degrees is what I'm saying.
Yes, and Raj likes to take himself up there and just lay. He just likes to get super hot. And
he just likes to pant.
That's the hound dog way. Somebody yesterday told me that their dog gets in the shower with them every time they shower. I was like, wow, that is extremely unrelatable. My dog certainly does not invite himself into the shower. He can't tolerate it when a bath must happen, but I guess that's the difference when you have some sort of a water dog. I think that you would kind of, I don't know actually if a golden retriever is considered a water dog, but that's what she has, is a golden retriever, and I associate retrievers like labs and goldens for liking water. And he just invites himself into her shower. She says every time she gets in the shower, it's not like she asks him in, he just walks in with her.
I mean, it's not when the water is running, but we have a baby crated, or a baby gated household rather. So Bunny and Pink do not just have free will to wander into any room, but when I do open the gate and Bunny comes into my bathroom with me, he always, like genuinely every time that he comes into my bathroom, there he goes. He puts his 2 front feet in and then walks far enough. He doesn't step over with the back feet. He just walks far enough until they slide over and thump into the bathtub, and he likes it like that.
Has he gotten a bath in there before? Like he knows that that's a bath place? Yeah, that's a big difference.
But he hasn't gotten many baths, to be honest. But we need to keep that up. That's a good reminder, Quinn. I've been trying to be on top of all of the little things to think of for. I learned my lesson with Pinkerton, I can tell you that, and he is great about getting his nails trimmed, getting the insides of his ears handled, getting his butt looked at and held for temperature being taken, and all sorts of improvements. I'll have a moment of being hard on myself, like, Bunny is not doing this thing very well, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, these strides I have made since my first time owning and training a dog from scratch. Like, I came upon a video of me when we very first got Pinkerton. Oh my gosh, hard to even remember that I used to know so little, but that was a good reminder for me to be like, I have done so much to improve. So good things are happening, and he is getting more and more off leash time around the little farmstead and being such a good and brave boy, and that is so promising and exciting for us, because there are days I long for and miss just our Pinkerton off leash, just so comfortable, just her. I mean, Pinkerton is still off leash almost all the time, but we miss the simplicity of those days, just one good farm dog. But Bunny is on his way and cooking with grease to be the best little farm pup. So honestly, huge improvements.
That is for sure. Well, this week, Quinn and I have a little bit of a celebratory episode, as in we are celebrating women, girlhood, all it means to be a woman. The way into this episode that I would like to start with is with a little movie talk of a movie that I actually almost didn't see. Brayden and I knew we wanted to have a movie date night, and we were looking at the options, and there were really only a couple options that would work with our timing. And this movie was The Bride. I say it like that because there's an exclamation point in the title, and
love that.
It's inspired by like the story of Frankenstein's bride, and the genre that it had listed was horror. Not usually my fave. If I'm picking out a movie on movie night, I was gonna say 9 out of 10 times it won't be horror, but 99 out of 100 times it will not be horror. That is not my wheelhouse. And it also, in the description, mentioned violence. I was just feeling like, okay, I don't know if I really want to go see this. But what got me in was that Jessie Buckley is the lead in the movie. She was the lead in Hamnet, and you guys know how much I loved that movie. And so I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's go see this movie. And I'm so glad that I did, because it was not horror in the sense that I am used to seeing it. It was definitely a different approach, and I haven't seen a lot of horror movies, so I also haven't, like, I don't know a lot of directors, but I can assume, based off of the movie industry at large and the world at large, that a lot of the directors are male. But Maggie Gyllenhaal was the director and writer of this movie, and I feel like it having like the female perspective really made a difference in terms of way less gratuitous violence. There were moments of violence, but it wasn't just like so much gore and violence and shock. It was, I think, a lot more restrained and intentional. And the whole movie, I thought, was a really fun, creative take on the story of Frankenstein, because that has been explored in many different ways in many different movies. And I think I've never seen the Bride of Frankenstein like 1935, or it's like in the 30s version, so can't really compare the two. But compared to the like Frankenstein movies I've seen, even though this is a book by a woman, it usually is very male centric. And in this telling of it, they had the author, Mary Shelley, as a character that Jessie Buckley played, and then she also played the bride. And I felt very affirmed watching it as a woman, that I think it really explored a lot of what it feels like to be a woman, where she in the story is created for the purpose of being Frankenstein's bride, and that feeling of a woman is on this earth to be in relationship with a man, that is the service, and she really defies that, and she is unpacking and figuring out what is going on in a way that like the male characters don't. And I was watching it just as a viewer without a critical lens, so I don't have as much content to come and break down for you guys, but I think that it's worth a watch, and made me feel like, wow, that was a really cool, different take, and I would watch it again to just understand more of it, because there was also a lot of intellectualism and literature references and things that I think were just consuming it all at once. It was too much to really digest, but I thought very well done and approachable for someone that normally wouldn't go for like a monster movie like myself.
Nice. I'm so glad to hear that. I haven't really heard people talking about that. Was that like you just went?
A couple weeks ago.
Okay.
So it may or may not still be in theaters, but Jessie Buckley just won the Academy Award for Best Actress in Hamnet, so I think she's going to be having a bit of a moment, and I wanted to see her, and she did such an incredible job. She really is a talented actress. I know that with awards shows that people are like, oh, these aren't necessarily fair and whatnot. I get that, and I am not under any illusion that it's like the public voting for this person, but I think that was well deserved for her. She is really talented and draws you in incredibly well. She does such a good job of acting in a way that you don't feel like you're watching someone acting, and I feel like I'd definitely get the illusion shattered by some actors where I'm like, you're not even necessarily doing a good job or a bad job, but I just like am conscious of you being acting right now, and she is a very embodied actor where you're like, oh my gosh, I just like am watching the character. I'm not thinking, oh, Jessie Buckley, even though I literally came here to watch you because it's you.
I can't picture her. I did not see Hamnet because of the warning that you gave me related to twins, but it seems like I should go back and watch, and I love that. We love a good, satisfying movie. Did you find that were you like, okay, I actually am scared out of my pants, or not really?
No, there were a couple like kind of grody scenes, but it was not scary. It was
okay.
Yeah, it
So
was not a scary
interesting.
movie. But I will say it also because I feel like I had a mindset shift with it. I'm like, maybe I should go back and rewatch Sinners because, as we know, I had a very closed mind to vampires and came prepared to not enjoy the vampire aspect. And there were so many aspects of the movie that I thought were so good that I really liked the music and the storytelling and things. And then the supernatural part came in, and that for me just, I think I was not in the mindset for it, but I'm like, you know what? Maybe I am now because people loved it so much, and also understanding more context for how big and important it felt for a lot of people in the Black community. I was like, okay, you know what? The vampires are used for symbolism and not just because it's like a Twilight movie where it's like, oh, and vampires. So I should revisit that and try to have a more well-rounded perspective.
We should watch that together because I've never seen it and neither has Sean, and I think that we would really like it. On another girlhood note, we have been enjoying many sweet girlhood experiences, and as you know on the podcast, first of all, you know it's not very girlhood is that Bunny just walked over here and dragged his puppy fart right over with him. Okay.
Boy behavior.
But something that was so sweet was a couple of my good buddies, my two girls, Mac and Jazz, who I became such good friends with. They're my first friends I made in Colorado, and we have stayed such good pals, and it's so sweet. But they knew I was sick at this point a couple of weeks ago, and I was feeling miserable on a Sunday, just being like, I've been sick for days and this is irritating, and was trying to have an optimistic headspace because you know how we operate over here, but it was just enough days had passed where I wasn't leaving the house, and it was just starting to feel I was bogged down. And so even though they knew I was feeling sick, they FaceTimed me together and were like, so how sick are you? And I was like, well, not that sick anymore. I don't feel my best. I need to conserve my energy. But they were like, we want to pick you up and take you on a date together and go look at some cool artisanal made things and explore this little part of Colorado. And I was like, okay, should I say yes? And I said yes, and they picked me up, and we had such one of those just special fun days together where also, I don't know, there's something about a little mini road trip where it was not long, but we were in the car for I think an hour each way, and getting to see, we were driving such a pretty road as well, and got to see, first of all, bison, some domesticated bison, and a ton of other animals, so that was already such a highlight for me. And also old barns and just farmstead properties. And then we got to look at some local artists' work of all different sorts, including but not limited to salvaged glass turned into bongs, which was fun and dope. And I did end up with one. I believe that's my first ever bong purchase. And the allusion and foreshadowing to our next episode is that I am not smoking right now, so the bong is gonna have to wait before its use, but now it's just sitting clean on the shelf.
It's very
just
subtle art piece vibes too. It's not.
It is. It's our fishy bong because it's like a 1980s, I think, salvaged one of the like a bottle that looks like a fish. So it's pretty funky, but so cute. And that was just a very happy, positive thing where also I wouldn't think and wouldn't be worried about the, judgment or anything, but in case anyone was wondering, I was definitely past the point in a sickness where it was going to be contagious and I was just stuck in the rut. What?
If people are thinking that, mind your business.
Yeah, plenty of people go into public legit sick, and sometimes you have to do what you have to do, but
police each other about that. We can all try our best to make responsible decisions about we're still contagious, but come on now.
And I was washing my hands, and I wasn't sneezing on people's stuff, but it was definitely what I needed where it was at that tipping point where I was just ready to have the get yourself moving a little bit, because if I had stayed home, sometimes at the beginning of my sickness, I was really struggling to actually take the rest I needed, and then it was coming toward the end, and I was like, okay, I should actually probably rest to get over this, but it was the perfect timing of let's go get out of the house, get some fresh air, get our mind off of it too, because sometimes when you're trapped in the house, it can be easy to ruminate on your symptoms a little bit and just be caught up in your feelings, and that was a very happy, healthy distraction. And just a sweet thing for my friends, even though I had said I'm not really feeling well, that they took the initiative to be let's do something and pull you out of this.
That's the best. They're good friends, and I had just such a good experience. I feel like so many women in my life, we don't have to be close besties, and there's just still such a high level of thoughtfulness, and I love how considerate and caring women often are for each other. So I just had my last day of work at this job that I've had because we're headed out on a trip. So we are wrapping up our time here really quickly. So that was my last day, and I was expecting just to have a mellow day alone. And one of my coworkers had asked me when my last day of work was, and she fully set up a going away lunch for me. So when about partway through the day came in, had brought food from a local deli that does salads and sandwiches, and people that don't usually even come into work at the shop, we have a couple of more remote employees came in, and someone that used to work there when I started and isn't there now came in, and our owner, and there were 3 babies there because 3 of the employees are new moms. That the oldest baby is 4 months old. I think a 4-month-old, a 3-month-old, and a 2-month-old, or something around that area, and they were so very cute. It's so fun also to see them as new moms. We were all working together while they were pregnant and hearing, their concerns and their joys and their aspirations and all of that. And now to see them all with these super healthy, sweet little babies was so much fun. I was like, oh my gosh, was not expecting this at all, and we sat around and we're just having conversation and lunch and catching up, and they were asking me about our future plans and whatnot. And then the same woman that organized the lunch for me was like, I know that I've said this to you before, but I just wanted to let you know how special that I think you are and how much I've appreciated working with you, and started giving a very like thoughtful, intentional compliment to me that was, you know, not just like, I think that you're nice and you're gonna have a good time in Colorado. Like, it was so personal and thoughtful, and that sparked someone else to say that, and then suddenly I'm like, everyone's giving me these such nice thoughtful compliments. I was like, you guys, a honey roast? I was not expecting this. This is so good, nice. What best last day of work ever. I've never just had a little like going away party thrown in a compliment circle. This was so much fun. Yeah. Thank you. Ending that's on such a high note.
Yeah, as good of a goodbye and a parting ways to a place that you can get. Other than a large monetary bonus, that would have been awesome. Here's your going away gift of $5,000. That would have made it feel extra sweet.
It would have been icing on the cake, but at least I had my cup so filled. And I'm not saying that this is not possible in a workplace owned and led by a man, but I am saying that everyone that works there is a woman, and this was my first time that this has ever happened, and it was so considerate and thoughtful, and just made me feel like, oh my gosh, womanhood is so special. This is why I want to encourage men to have vulnerability with each other too, because it is a vulnerable thing to sit and not only to give but also to receive to people that are being, you know, very kind and complimentary, and not be like, oh, try to lessen it, you know, and be like, no, like that's too much or whatever. I was like, I'm just going to take this in and receive it. And also I was like, true, I mean, they're speaking truths. It's just nice to hear it, and also to know, you know, I've had great relationships with my coworkers, but when you're working alongside someone, you don't necessarily know if they are seeing you for who you feel like you more truly are. You know, sometimes our work persona doesn't, you're bringing your professional self to work, and you maybe are like, I don't know if it's seeing me the way maybe my friends would see me, but I was like, wow, I feel so seen by all of you. That was so nice.
That is so sweet. I love that, and that is very well deserved, and it goes so far for people to express those kindnesses. And I sure know that there have been times where I'm thinking so highly of someone, and I just like to, when I realize that I'm thinking that, to speak those things out loud, because I feel like putting that good into the world is never of harm and helpful. Especially, you know, it is lovely to hear like, I love your outfit, or you're pretty, something like that. But like you said, for it to actually be reflections of who you are and the ways that they appreciate who you are in the world and how you show up, like that's really special, and not something that you necessarily hear every day. So I'm so happy that you felt loved and held in that space, and that you got a good yummy going away lunch. Like hello,
yeah,
the way to our hearts.
And a lavender matcha, yum.
Oh,
that brings us to the end of part 1 of this episode. Thank you so much for listening, and come back next week for the rest. Bye.